All right. So, as I like to say with these things, as long as everything is working the way that it should be working, we are now live. So, hello and welcome to everyone who is watching the Written Melanin channel. Wherever this day may have found you, I'm so glad that you are here. My name is Chelsea, and I write books about black girls who aren't all that nice. And this is the Melanin Chat. And y'all, I'm super excited. I am also, just fair warning, I am also super tired. My brain decided that I should stay up until about 7:30. So I am running off of pure like 45 minutes of sleep. So take today for whatever it's going to be. But I'm super excited because today is not only Melanin Chat Day, today is not only cover reveal day for the anthology, it is also Ben's birthday. So if you are in the chat, please send him lots of happy birthday wishes. He is old enough to do things, has been for a while, but
Still not old enough to run
thank
for
you.
president.
He is still not old enough to run for president, but he is here. And also, good morning to everyone who is already in the chat. So, shout out to Jay Monet, shout out to Ash and Read Love Listen. Darian Walker is here. Good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. And you'll probably hear me say this a lot today, but please go ahead and tap the like button because it lets the algorithm know that you like being here and lets other people know that they should also be here. So, yeah. Happy birthday to our favorite husband. He is also my favorite. I'm really excited. And I was telling him earlier this morning, last night, whatever, that I have been with him for every birthday since he turned 20. So that's crazy. We've literally been together since we were teenagers, and it's been well over a decade now. So very cool. Very, very, very cool. Definitely my favorite person. So for future posterity, so no one can say I didn't say it. Happy birthday, Benjamin. I hope your day is great. And I want y'all to know that he can hear me because he's literally sitting over there because he has the day off. So instead of being in the other room like normal, he's just on the other side of the computer. But that being said, how are you guys doing? I missed last Melanin Chat. So it's been like a month since we've done this. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, let me know how you guys are doing, what you've been up to, and y'all know I'm gonna give everybody a couple of minutes to get in here before we do the Melanin Spotlight for today. And today's Melanin Spotlight is gonna be super special because if y'all have been watching the C Squared Chronicles, if you have heard me talk about anything, y'all know that this cover reveal, this anthology has been a project. It's been in the works for a while, so I'm super excited about it. I'm super, super excited about it. I'm also excited for today's topic. So if you haven't had a chance to vote in the poll, please go ahead and do that. Also, shout out to everyone who's coming in. Hello, Andy Jackson. Hello, Cherry Reese. Hello, DL. Of course, Ben's in the chat, but I've already spoken about him several times at this point. But yes, let me know what I've missed. Also, the book community like drama has been kind of wild. Like every time, I need y'all to know that every time I'm getting ready to do the Melanin Chat, I am in the after chat Discord, and Vina usually keeps me pretty up to date on all this crazy stuff that's happening. But I went on Threads this morning, and there was someone who had like a nice concise little thread, and they were just like, so this is what's happened this week. And I'm like, wow, we really don't get a day of rest, do we? It's just drama after really this is what we're doing now. These are the conversations we're having. That's wild. Also, gotta give a shout out to my homie Audra. She is not here with us today. She had other things because she is the superwoman of her family, and we love and appreciate her for that. But she had prior obligations, so she could not make it here this morning, unfortunately. But that being said, you guys, it is now 5 minutes after. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to first update the description box down below, because as some of you may have noticed, I did not actually post the link to today's book. Let me make sure that everything is working the way that it should be working. Yep, it is. So There we go. All right, you guys. Also, shout out to Janine Baptiste and Vina who are in the chat. Hello, welcome. Glad you guys could make it. And without further ado, you guys, let's go ahead and get into this cover reel. In 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! I wish I had sound effects. Like, applause. But this is the wonderful, amazing, beautiful Magic in the Melanin cover. It was created by the one, the only Celeste Hart. And you guys, when I tell you, this has been a journey. Like, I am so excited to be able to share this cover with you guys. I'm so excited to tell you all about the anthology. We also have an official release date for the anthology. It is coming out February 18th, 2025. So in the heart of the first Black History Month, because y'all know we got two now. So that is also the anniversary of the Melanin Library. And y'all, just, I love it. I love it so much. The melanin, the afro, the locks, the magic, the stories that are going to be in it. Let me tell you, as y'all know, there's an editing team behind this anthology. So Tatiana, Celeste, Lot, and I have been working on bringing this together. And the stories, some of these stories are amazing. And y'all are not going to be disappointed. So fun fact, tap the like button if you haven't already. And also refresh the page after you do that, because there's also a link down in the description box below so that you can go ahead and pre-order the anthology. So right now it is only available through the Melanin Library. And the reason being, this anthology, as I have mentioned to you guys several times, is the Melanin Library is a free resource for everyone, but it is not free to run. It's not free to sustain. And so this anthology came about because in talking to my amazing author friends, they were like, what's something that we can do to support it? So the proceeds from this anthology is going to go to supporting the Melanin Library so that it can remain a free resource for everyone to use. So if you're interested in joining the anthology, you can still submit. Our submission window is open until the end of the month for authors, and if you are an artist and you want to draw some artwork and have us promoted alongside the anthology, you can submit that as well, and you have until the end of September for that. But all of the authors who submit and participate in the anthology will get an equal portion of the pre-order profits. So, which is why I'm asking you to go to the Melanin Library to pre-order either the hardback or the paperback, because that's how we get the most money. So if you get it from there, there are more authors who are going to be paid. So, all of that to say, please, for sure, check it out, get into it. I would appreciate it. And when I tell y'all the stories are going to be great, we have some really dope authors who are going to be in it. The submission window is still open, so I can't announce anybody like for sure, but y'all know I'm going to be in it. Tatiana's going to be in it. Celeste and La are going to be in it. And I can also say that Leslie Penelope is also going to be in it. She was one of the invited authors, and she wrote an amazing story. And I can also say that there's going to be some really dope artwork in it. Like, it's going to be like from start to finish. It's going to be melanin on melanin on melanin, and it's going to be great. It's going to be so great. So, that being what it is, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to go get this book, and also get one for yourself. And that's also something I want to talk about. My mind, if you just came in, fun fact, I'm running off of 45 minutes of sleep, so my brain's all over the place. Try to keep me on track if you can. But something that I saw when in that nice little thread that I saw on Threads, the thread on Threads, whatever, was the author breaking down like, oh yeah, this is the Twitter drama or whatever that's happened, right? The thing is, she was like, people were like, if I buy the physical version of the book, I should also get the audio version or the ebook version for free. And I was just like, interesting. So my take on that is really interesting, because if you click on the link and you buy the book from the Melanin Library, you also get the ebook. But the thing is, I have been doing that for all of my books since I became an indie author. So if you ever bought a book for me, like directly from my website, you always got the ebook in addition to it. And part of that was because I was like, I don't know, in my mind, I'm like, if you're buying the hardback version of the book and you don't want to crack the spine and it's like for display and you still want to read the book, I feel like you should still be able to read the book without cracking the spine. And it's also shipping delays. So I'm like, that way you get that immediate gratification, but you still have a reason to buy from the author directly. I don't know. I feel like that's just a good, solid plan. I don't know, but people are like, how dare you give the ebook away for free? And I'm just like, I don't know, man. If you just bought like a $35 book, I can throw in the ebook for you. It's fine. The audiobook though, audiobook is a completely different matter. That's a completely different matter because that's expensive. No way. I can't do that. I can't justify that. I cannot throw in the audiobook for free. But the ebook, I feel like there's actually a solid argument for throwing in the ebook with physical copies of the book, because when you bought DVDs, they also were like, oh yeah, by the way, we'll just throw the streaming in for whatever, or like you can download it to your computer or whatever, and you can watch it there. So I don't know, is that weird? What is y'all's take on that? I'm just curious because in my mind, I'm really like, I don't even think that's really big of an argument. Audiobook, for sure not. But ebook, yeah, you can for sure throw that in with the physical copy of the book. Because sometimes you want to read lying down. Sometimes you want to read in the dark. And you need a Kindle for that, or your phone or something. But sometimes you just want to have the aesthetic. You want your nice cup of coffee. You want your nice book that smells of ink, you know? You want a nice rainy afternoon and a blanket with some lo-fi in the background. And yeah, I mean, there are different vibes. But you want to read the same book. I get it. But yeah. Also, TEB is here. Hello. Welcome, friend. Thank you. If you would like a copy of Magic in the Melanin, the pre-order link is now live. It's there. It is down in the description box below. So feel free to get into it and get your copy of it. Purchasing it will directly support the Melanin Library and the Black authors who are contributing to it. So yeah, get into it. Definitely getting a hardcover. Yes. I support that decision, and I suggest you peer pressure everyone else into getting it, because it is in the works. It's in the discussions, so I can't make any promises as of right now, but I am like 60% sure that the first 100 people to pre-order from our website, paperback or hardback, are going to get something special. I can't tell you what it is, and I can't guarantee that this will happen, but I can actually tell you that is in the works. It depends on how many people actually pre-order a copy. But if we can make some things happen, we can make it happen, because we have a lot of cool things in the works for this anthology, which honestly to me is kind of mind-blowing, because when I tell y'all that the amount of support that we have gotten for this anthology is like mind-boggling to me, it is truly like mind-boggling to me. I did not think that many people actually cared, but it's kind of dope to realize that, you know, there is space in this community for us to come together and actually create something that is for us, because that's what the anthology and putting it together has been all about. It's like, it's for us. It's centering Blackness on purpose. It's not like, oh, an afterthought, or, oh, we're just going to throw this in there, but we're also going to like explain it or touch it. Nah, it's for us all the way through. It's got Black editors, Black authors, Black artists, like everybody who is touching this book is Black. And it's just like, when we come together to create things, it's really truly an amazing experience. And I can honestly cannot tell you how excited I am for this anthology. Like, the stories that we have been getting, like, there are so many people who are just so vastly creative in the way that they write, in the way that they hone their craft. It's dope to be a part of it. And in my mind, I just was not let me tell y'all, I was not convinced that this was going to work out in the beginning. I was just like, ain't nobody going to want to participate in the anthology. I am very glad to be wrong about that. It's constantly a learning experience. Let's see here. Y'all know I can't do two things at one time, talk and read the chat. So give me a second. I know some people throw in a bookmark included with the physical version. Yeah, like I know people throw in like goodies and stuff, but which also I feel like we should talk about that as well as a community, because there are definitely some things that I have gotten where I'm just like, why is this in a box? Like, not trying to be funny, but I was like, why am I getting this right now? I want artwork. I want the pretty things. But I'm also like, there are certain things that I'm just like, if you send me like a wristband, I know that those are like kind of expensive, but I'm also like, I am never going to wear this and I have nowhere to put it in my house. And now I am confused about what to do with it. But it came with the book, so I don't want to get rid of it. And so I'm like, I like bookmarks. I like artwork. I like stickers. I like things that are like very bookish, but physical things. Unless it's like a keychain or a pin on button or something like that, I get confused. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, big homie. Also, shout out to Margaret who came in. Hello, welcome, love. I hope you're doing well. Let's see here. I think that's in the UK. I think Chelsea meant June for Juneteenth. Could be wrong though. Yes, Andy, you got me right. So Janine, you asked when the other Black History Month is. So Black History Month is in February, but it's also in June. February because that's the official one, but June because that's Juneteenth, and we take the whole month because that's how we do. But yeah. Let's see here. DL White. Also, I'm so glad the DL's here. Y'all don't know. Like, I be missing her in the chat sometimes. So I'm so glad that you're here, DL. But yeah, if you buy audio, I'll happily send you the ebook. It's a different situation when it comes to the audio. The production is entirely more expensive. And I think that's the thing for me. Like, I'm more than happy to send you things. Like, especially if you purchase from me directly, I am more than happy to throw in extras or to help with customer service or whatever, right? But audiobooks, I don't think people understand how expensive audiobooks are, especially if you have like a long book. Like, if you have like, I think We Are the Origins like 11 hours, right? You have to pay per finished hour, and you have to pay the audiobook narrator, and you have to pay the engineer. So that adds up really, really, really quickly. And it's just like, that is a very expensive purchase. And just so y'all understand, there's a reason why Wrath of the Gods has been out for almost a year. Like, it's going to have been out for a year for about 2 weeks, right? On August 29th. There's a reason why the second book does not have an audiobook, because when I tell you, I went back to the same narrator to try to keep consistency with the audiobook. When I tell you that her prices more than doubled in the year that it took in between writing the books. In the first audiobook wasn't cheap. The first one wasn't cheap. So I think expecting the audiobook to be included when you purchase a book is kind of wild. But the ebook, I feel like ebooks can be negotiated, honestly, because delivering them yourself isn't all that difficult. And like I said, if you're already buying the physical book, if you're already buying a 20, 30 some odd book, I feel like the ebook is negligible at that point. But yeah, let's see here. Relive Listen said, I like that you do that. I don't think audiobooks should be free. You have to pay them authors. Maybe some authors could do the ebook added only for pre-orders. I don't know. Well, fun fact, for Magic and the Melanin, normally for my books, like my personal books, I always include the ebook for the entirety that the book is on the site. But for Magic and the Melanin, it is only going to be for the pre-order. So if you pre-order the book through us, then you will also get the ebook included. And if you're one of the first 100 people, you will also most likely, hopefully, no promises, get something extra in your book. However, after that, it's only going to be the book. It's not going to be continuously like it was before. So something to keep in mind. Get the book before February, and the reason we are doing this is because the authors who are contributing get a portion of the pre-order sales. So we really want people to go ahead and pre-order the book. So yeah, help Black authors get paid. That's what it's all about. That's why we're here. Let's see here. Darian said, I honestly don't think it's weird considering the prices for things. Audio is totally different because you have folks acting. Exactly. June is Caribbean Heritage Month. Always forgotten. Not forgotten. I wouldn't say forgotten. I think it's just Black people being extra, honestly. And I don't know. I can't say nothing about that. I just know that Juneteenth happens and we celebrate all the way up until Juneteenth. And then a little bit after it too, which ends up being the whole month. So yeah. Let's see here. I meant voice actors, but I get why some authors want all their coins and don't want to give it away for free. Yeah. June is Black Music Month and Caribbean American Heritage Month. So yeah, it all comes together. It all comes together. I'd rather buy from the author's website if I can because I know they get more money, and many will sign it and throw in bookish swag. Exactly that. Exactly that. Although the anthology, unfortunately, will not be signed by all the editors, mostly because we do not all live in the same time zone, let alone the same country. So that is not going to be a feasible reality, but it will have other things with it. It will have other things come with it. I have several books I want to record, but I don't have it. That part. And if you pay for the physical book, I feel like you've paid for the words. So a digital copy of the same words isn't a big deal. Audio is a completely different thing. Facts. It's why I probably will wait until after I finish the series or at least a few books for the audiobooks. Yeah. And audiobook creation is expensive. Last time I looked up prices to be nosy, I was quoted $4,000, so I know it's more expensive now that actors have more work. Yeah. The reason the second book of the Wrath of the Gods series, We Are Dying Gods, does not have an audiobook is because I was quoted roughly $5,000 to get the second book in the series, and to get both the second book and the third book that I am planning to write to finish out the trilogy, it was going to come up to a total of like $8,000 and some change. And I was just like, oh, can't do it. Can't do it. And that was all predicated on the fact that the third book actually matched my predicted word count. But obviously, y'all know me, it isn't written yet, so that could change. That could fluctuate. So I was like, I can't do it. I can't commit to it. It's over. I'm not gonna say it's over the top. I believe that everyone should be paid a fair wage, but it's also one of those things that makes it hard for indie authors. And I feel like it creates this foothold for people to argue for AI. And I don't believe in that, but I'm also like, I can't read it to you. I can't have nobody read it to you. I am considering doing an author read for my Patreon where it's like, I can read you the book. It's not total voice acting. I can read you the book. But I don't have the coins right now to pay a professional to do it. That's just not possible. I figure about $5,000 minimum for mine because I'm ready. Yep. Basically. And okay, Janine, you said do a Kickstarter to help back the cost. And the thing is, I feel like Kickstarters only work if you have a really large fan base to jumpstart it yourself. You have to, I don't know. And I guess I'm one of those people where I'm just like, I feel weird when I ask people for like donations and stuff, even for like the Melanin Library and things. So doing a Kickstarter for like my own project where I'm just like, I can't afford this, you guys. It's not that I think it's bad. I just think that you have to have a really solid plan and a really solid fan base in order to make those work. Because I think for as many Kickstarters as we see that are actually fully funded, there are just as many that are started but never actually come to fruition or are never fully funded. And I don't know. I feel like you just have to be really intentional about that. That's not something that you just jump into. And you have to have something that you can also offer people, because it can't be, oh, I'm just funding the audiobook. There's usually swag and ebooks and physical copies and signed copies and a whole lot of other logistics that have to go into it to make the Kickstarter worth it. That's just my 2 cents, because I considered it, but I'm also like, if you guys want to donate money on the internet, please donate to the Melanin Library. Personally. Let's see here. I just don't get how some of these indie authors got an audiobook coming out every other month. I feel like they have to have a full-time job outside somewhere where like their full-time job is just going to paying for their indie book stuff, which is cool. That's just not my life. And Tatiana White did a Kickstarter to fund her book. I remember that. And hers was successful. Jessica Cage also did one for Accidentally Summoned a Demon Boyfriend, and it was successful. So I'm not saying it can't be successful. I just feel like you have to be really intentional about how you go about setting it up and marketing it. Jackie I has had Kickstarters for her stuff, and it's been done. So it can be done. I just feel like it can also not be done well, if that makes sense. But yeah, you have to have a fan base to support that, and authors who aren't white don't find Kickstarter effective. I feel like you have to do a lot of marketing to make a Kickstarter effective. I feel like you have to do a lot of marketing, and you have to have really good promises that you can actually fulfill. I think usually certain types of books by certain types of authors that get funded better than others, that part, or someone that pays for it. And I think that's also it. And this is just theory, right? I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I would be interested to know how many Kickstarters actually get funded by people that the author knows, being like, hey, if you get to this milestone or if you get to this checkpoint, I will fund the rest so that you meet your goal. Because if once you have one successful Kickstarter, it's a lot easier to do another one. And so I'm just curious if any authors have ever just been like, I'm going to donate to my own Kickstarter fund so that I can meet this goal publicly and say that I did it. I don't know. I'm not saying that that happens or that it was done for any books that I personally know. I'm just curious to see. I would be curious to know, rather. Let's see here. Ben said, if you record the book yourself and can edit the audio yourself, then producing the audiobook is easier. That takes multiple talents and lots of time. Yeah, a lot of time. And I also feel like people look for big names, so I don't want to waste money if nobody want a book voiced by a who dat name. Honestly, I feel like that only applies if it's not the author. And even then, I don't even be checking for names like that unless it's like a huge name. Like, I can't remember her name. As she voiced the first 2 books of Children of Blood and Bone. But she also did like a lot of books. She's a really popular narrator. I cannot remember her name for the life of me right now. But unless it's like someone huge like that, I don't really be checking for the narrator like that. Unless they were just bad. Unless they were just straight up bad, then I'll remember, probably shouldn't get this one again. But for the most part, I'm just like, I just want to hear the book while I'm doing something else. Like, that's it. Especially if it's author read, I feel like I would give so much more grace for it. Let's see here. Cherry said, I enjoy audiobooks for indie books, but I feel like they do the authors dirty with the voice choices. Read a West African actor trying to do a Jamaican accent. Oh, snap. Yeah. Bonnie Turpin. Well, I hate that you don't like her, but I enjoyed her narration for, what was it? Dread Nation, I want to say it was. I didn't have any problem with it. I feel like some of her accents are not on point, but I feel like that's with anyone trying to do accents. I feel like either you like or you hate it. I think the sweet spot is when they're not necessarily trying to do a strong accent. It's just kind of like they're differentiating the voice from other characters. That's just a personal opinion, though. But y'all, I meant to actually bring this topic up, and I'll keep reading this chat. But I did not listen to Wings of Ebony, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, Janine. That one's actually out of my hands. I have the physical copy of Wings of Ebony, but that's a whole other discussion. But actually, it circles back around to the thing that I wanted to ask y'all today to talk about, because as y'all can see, the topic I was supposed to ask y'all was, what is Black fiction, right? And the reason why I wanted to discuss this is because it came up in the after chat, right? But I also took it to the author council, the editing team for Magic and the Melanin. So slight plug to go ahead and pre-order your copy if you haven't already. But when we were talking about it, shout out to Vina for kind of propagating this conversation in the after chat. But it basically came up of what makes Black fiction, right? And this started with the whole Legendborn Blood at the Root thing, and we are not going to get into that. I missed it. I wasn't feeling well. I hate that I missed the conversation, but it's gone, right? But in the midst of it, I was really like sitting there with myself, and I'm like, okay, what counts as Black fiction? And I guess this also tied into what we were looking for in submissions for Magic and the Melanin. And there are so many things that I was just like, to me, and let me preface everything I'm about to say by saying this is a personal opinion, right? This is my personal opinion. This is how I view things. This is why I have such a hard time getting into a lot of books by Black authors in recent years, right? And to me, Black fiction is more than just fiction written by a Black author. I feel like to me, the thing that is missing that I desperately want is I do not want for the character's blackness to be another character in the book, essentially, where it has to be explained, where every second of every minute I am painfully aware that this character is black in a space that does not want them, that does not love them, does not appreciate them, that does not want them to be magic. I feel like I am really just exhausted of stories like that. And I am wanting more. And that is where the poll for today's chat came in. And I find it interesting that as of right now, right, we have 17 votes in the poll, right? So if you want to vote in it, feel free. Go ahead. Go ahead and submit your cast your vote, I'll say. But it's just, the question is, do you feel like the books published by Black authors since 2020 are for Black readers? And I just find it interesting that most of us either said no, or I have mixed feelings about it. And I feel like that's where I have been existing for like the last 4 to 5 years, where it's just like so many things have been like, oh, this is for you, this is for Black readers, this is Black girl magic, this is for y'all. And then you get into it and it's just like, I don't know, this doesn't actually feel like it was for me. I feel like it was for me on the surface, and that I had skin representation on the page, but not necessarily for me on the page, and that this was actually written so that I would feel magical, so that I will feel seen, that I would feel represented, that I would feel like I could have fun. That, you know, whenever these conversations of, you know, what books are supposed to be, right? And let's just call it the Black square moment on Instagram, right? And so many people in general, right, expect non-melanated people, were like, I like to read books to escape. I don't want to make it political. And so many of us were like, well, it has to be political for us. We don't have a choice. Books inherently are political, right? But I'm also like, man, I would love to just pick up a book and to just exist and to just escape and to not have to explain anything, to not have to feel like, oh, I need to be reminded every third page that this character is Black because they're in a space that doesn't want them, you know? So that's kind of what it means to me. And that's why I'm like, you know, there are a lot of books. There are a lot of books that, in my opinion, would not fit that definition of Black fiction. I think it would be fiction written by a Black author, but it would not inherently be Black fiction. And I feel like if I actually voice that, like the books that don't make the list, I think it would be a very controversial opinion, but y'all could probably guess what doesn't make the list in my mind. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. Also, shout out to Celeste, who is here. Hello, welcome, love. So shout out to her. If you guys missed it earlier, she is the amazing artist behind this amazing cover. So again, slight plug to go ahead and pre-order the book, get your physical copy, get your paperback copy, get it from the website so that we can send you the ebook. And keep in mind that if you get the ebook, you'll be able to read it the day it releases, because that will be sent out on February 18th. So you'll have both, right? But yeah, not Jay Monet saying that blood at the root conversation will come up again. Just wait. You know, I think it will, but I think it's more so, I think it's less about blood at the root specifically and more so about what is and is not allowed to exist in fiction. And I think, and this is just outside opinion from someone who has read neither book in discussion, not in totality. I've only read the first chapter for both books, to be clear. Mostly because I didn't read book number 1 because no, I wasn't digging the mom death, and I wasn't digging the, okay, I'm going to an incredibly white space, because I've been to Chapel Hill in real life and it was not a place that I enjoyed being. So didn't get into that book, and I did not get into book number 2 because to be honest, I didn't like the prose. I didn't like the way the book read, personally. That's a personal opinion. That's just a me thing. Yeah, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. But I think the conversation is just interesting because there are definitely two ways to go about including Black culture in your book. And I don't think I would have gone about it the way either author did, but that's not to say that it was wrong. I think that each book has found its own market. And I think that it's, how do I put this politically correct? I think that had it been done by a different author in a less ostentatious way that graded against the skin that needed explanation, and I say needed explanation in the sense of, I know there were a lot of people saying, but you have to remember that this character is XYZ. I feel like it probably would have gone over a lot better, like just in general. But I think that because there were so many concessions that had to be made for the main character in conversation in bookish spaces, I think that's kind of where that whole conversation stemmed from. And I could be wrong. But that's kind of my take on it. Left or right. But I don't want to say too much on the public. On the public chat that's going to be recorded for posterity. So slight plug to get into the after chat if you want to ask me specific questions. $5 to get you in, and it supports the Melanin Library. So boom, there we go. Let's see here. They said FUBU culture and trad publishing is dying, and it's crazy because I remember in like elementary or middle school, FUBU was like, "Ooh, it's FUBU." I don't know what happened. I don't know if that was just like a my school thing, whatever. But it is, and it's just like I feel like trad pub is an interesting space to watch, especially from the outside, because it is definitely moving as if it is losing purchase in the bookish community in important ways. And it's interesting to watch as an author because with all the things and the shenanigans that are happening left and right, and the way authors are being treated and how vocal they're being and how vocal they are about, the support that they're getting, the marketing that they're getting, the events that they are and are not allowed to attend, and, the awards that they are and are not allowed to be submitted for, and all the politics that go into it. I've always heard that trad publishing is very corporate, but it's interesting to watch because there are so many things that go into creating a book, and there's so much creative control that you have to give up essentially in order to be a traditionally published author. And so I guess it always comes back to, especially for Black authors, what it is that you're willing to concede on in order to get that title that I am a traditionally published author with such and such company. And I guess seeing that in real time is interesting. It's interesting. So yeah, I think that's an issue with trad. I read a lot of indie, which I believe is written for Black audiences. I agree, and I feel like indie is becoming such a stronger space in the last couple of years, at least in my opinion, right? And I admit that I have a very limited view of the bookish community because of how much I read and the people that I interact with. Like I have a certain view of things, and I can acknowledge my bias, right? But I really do feel like indie books are becoming so much stronger, especially with people learning how to publish their books and getting better covers, getting better editors, getting sensitivity readers, going through the process and really actually understanding and mastering the process. It's like you're getting, I think it's interesting to watch you getting better books with indie, but you also getting worse books with trad, to the point where, I don't know, I'm getting to a point where I would trust an indie book to be better than a trad book at this point. And I don't know if that's a controversial opinion or not. But if you handed me two books and you told me like, oh, this one was indie published and this one was trad published, and I had to like blind take one of them, I would definitely blind take the indie book at this point. And I just find that interesting. So for the simple quality and care that has gone into the book, because I feel like so much of trad, especially what's being shared publicly, right, it's just so much, oh, this didn't happen the way that it should have happened, or the author being like, I had to basically just swallow this in order to get my book out, you know? Because we've also seen what happens when authors speak out, but then we also see what happens when authors don't speak out, right? I feel like there's really no right way to go about it, especially when you're a Black author. Like, if you're vocal about it, you can lose your publisher and your agent. But if you're quiet about it and your book doesn't do well, you can also lose your publisher and your agent. Like, I've seen both of them within like 2 months of each other. So I think there's, when there's no right answer, there's no right way to go about it. It just becomes like, I don't know, how are you supposed to navigate a minefield where you get blown up either way, you know? Let's see here. Also beware of some alpha and beta readers and editors that try to purge Blackness for the sake of better writing. Yeah. I'm going to not even go out on a limb. I'm going to say this with my full chest. If you have an editor or a beta reader or an alpha reader who tries to purge the Blackness from your book, they just actually aren't good at their job. They actually probably just shouldn't be in the realm that they are, and they definitely shouldn't be working with the clients that they're working with. That's just a personal opinion. If you have a character who says things like, I'm just being honest, like, I don't know. There are certain subject verb agreements that are just like natural in dialogue that make sense. And I don't even think that's a good example. I'm running off of 45 minutes of sleep, but I don't know. I feel like that's weird. And if someone, I don't know, personally, I have stopped working with an editor because they didn't understand the story. They didn't understand the assignment. And I feel like as an indie, you have so much more freedom to do this. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. And because you suggested that, I'm actually going to move in a different direction, because I have learned, I have witnessed that you, in fact, do not understand what it is that I am trying to accomplish here. And there'd be no point in me moving forward and paying you hundreds of dollars to read and critique and help me improve my book when you are trying to move it in a direction that I'm not trying to go in. I am trying to go to the North Pole. You're trying to go to the South. We are inherently moving in different directions, you know? But I feel like that's something that you get when you're an indie author. But I'm also curious if you can do that as a traditionally published author too. If you could be like, yeah, no, I want to hire my own editor. I'd be curious. Let's see here. Jay Monet said, the book, All Her Little Secrets, was a book not meant for us. It's so bad. The main character's personality was centered on her internalized anti-Blackness. Wow. Yeah, no. That's just, and I think that's, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. 90s and early 2000s was peak Blackness in media. It really was. I feel like we got it, and they were like, oh wait, this is too good, let's nick this in the bud. Let's just stop this. They're getting too empowered. Let's see here. I don't think a character having some anti-Blackness they need to reckon with means the book is not for us. My question is if the author has the main character acknowledge and make steps to correct that. I agree. I don't think that inherently a character being anti-Black, especially in the beginning, is something that makes a book bad or is like, oh, that's not for us. I think it has to be something that the character contends with, that they are called out on. But I also feel like it has to be done in a way that actually feels natural and not in a way that's like, oh, I'm doing this for brownie points. I'm doing this because I have to. And I don't know. I feel like I feel like that takes a certain level of finesse. And, you know, to be honest, I don't know if we're seeing the level of craft that we probably should be for some authors to be writing the books that they are. And I'm going to leave it at that. I feel like we could all collectively as an author and writing community benefit from some authors taking a little bit more time to study up on the craft of writing and getting better at the craft of writing before deciding that their book is ready to be out in the world for the masses. I also think that a lot of authors could go through some PR training. That they should get some basic, hey, this is okay to respond to, this is not. Like, I don't know. There's a level of a separate professional persona that I feel like a lot of authors need to separate from themselves that they don't. That would also probably help things out a lot, because I feel like things become a conversation when authors start injecting their personal opinions, feelings, etc. into conversations that are professional ones, if that makes sense. But I also admit that I am not on the front lines of the bookish community like that. And I also try to stay in my lane. So it's different. It's different. Let's see here. I've been talking to a few writer friends that got content editors for their YA books, and I've been noticing a new adult romantasy push in their content edits, specifically white romantasy. You know, I feel like there's a whole conversation. I feel like there's a whole conversation between new adults and young adults. I feel like most people don't actually understand what that is. I feel like people think new adult is, oh, it's young adult, but they do grown people things. And it's like, no, new adult literally means you're an adult. You're just really new at it, which means you're grown. You're just figuring out how to be grown, right? Just like when you hit like 13, 14, you're a teenager, but you're a new teenager. You're figuring out how to be a teenager. Same thing with new adult, right? You're an adult doing adult things. It's not just YA with some banging in it. Like that's not what it is. And I find it interesting when people are trying to push the authors into making more adult content for young adult readers, because I feel like people forget that young adult is supposed to be for teenagers, like 13, 14, 15, 16. Like, I don't know. I feel like we jump straight from, okay, you've got middle grade at 12, and then you jump straight to 18. And it's just kind of like, there's a whole age range. There's a whole developmental point where it's just like they are getting pushed out of books. And I saw this conversation on Twitter where adults were basically being like, oh, you should read more adults because adults read. Great. But somebody said it really succinctly, and they were like, you are a guest in somebody else's home. Like, you don't get to pick out the curtains, right? Like, you don't get to tell authors what should be in a YA book that is meant for teenagers, being like, oh, there should be more violence in it, or there should be more social justice in it, or there should be heavier topics in it, or there should be, it's like, you can read adult books for that. And I feel like a lot of people, especially a certain demographic of women who read YA, don't realize that you can actually just not read romance if you are looking for other things. Because one of the comments was, I don't want to read a book where they're banging every other page. Okay, then read a women's fiction book instead of a romance. Like, I don't know. I feel like there are options. I feel like there are options here that are just not being explored. And I think it's interesting that traditional publishing, which is supposed to be the voice of the bookish community in a way, are not telling people like, hey, the thing you're looking for exists, and we recommend that you go to this section of the bookstore to get what you're looking for, rather demanding it from a book that's meant for a 15-year-old and you're 25. Like, you're not in the same point. Like, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever. It's okay to age out of YA. It's okay. But demanding that it fit your taste as an adult is like weird. It's weird. I'm trying to keep up with the comments, but I can't. Let's see. I feel like people specifically say this book is black for brownie points, but have the most horrendous plot to showcasing their black characters suffering, especially by topics of racism. Yeah, you know, I said this before in the after chat, but I will say it here. I feel like if a book says, if an author or marketing for a book says, this is Black Girl Magic, or this is a love letter to Black girls, Black boys, Black people, Black culture, I'm not going to read it, because I feel like that is a very, very loud dog whistle for this is about to be a bunch of trauma on the first page. And this is what Black culture looks like from the outside, not the inside. And it's just like, I don't need to read that. I don't need to read that, honestly. Let's see here. Editors reject YA books that are about 14 to 16-year-olds and encourage authors to age up or down, which is crazy. Which is crazy to me, because that's who it's for. Like, and I think people get so caught up in nostalgia, and I feel like that's what's gotten us here, right? the era of kids who used to go to Barnes and Noble and Borders and their parents would just let them wander and pick out books or whatever. It's like, you realize that because you could not let go of nostalgia, you could not let go of that memory, because you could not effectively, follow me, grow up. You are robbing an entire generation of kids of that same experience, because there is no reason why I should go to a young adult section in a bookstore and be unsure if the book is appropriate for my niece who is 14. Like, that section should be wholly and solidly within her range of maturity. And it's just like, yeah, no, that's not true anymore, because there are so many people who have forced themselves to expand this realm of books that do not apply to them. And it's okay. Just like you aged out of picture books, just like you aged out of board books, just like you aged out of chapter books, out of middle grade books, you can age out of young adult. It's fine. It's okay. Just go to the straight romance section. Just go to the straight fiction section or the straight horror section. I promise you there's so many books there. There are so many books there. Or, God forbid, in the 21st century, you just, I don't know, Google it. You just do a little bit of research, because the amount of people that I see going on the internet and being like, hey, I am looking specifically for this vibe with this and this in it. When I tell you there is somebody on the internet who can give you a recommendation, there is some bookish community channel that has already given you at least 3 books that fit that. It takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of effort, but you know what? So did going to the computer and figuring out how to use the Dewey Decimal System. Okay. Some things take effort. Some things take effort. I just feel like we live in an era where it's just like, oh, I've been going to this section of the library, or I've been going to this section of the bookstore for so long, I don't know what to do if I have to go to a new section. I'm like, babes, it's okay. It's okay. Just walk a couple steps, go to a different aisle. We figure it out. We figure it out. Ask someone for help. But yeah. Let's see here. There's also plenty of romance books where people don't have sex on page. Also accurate. I think even some readers don't know that what new adult is while adultifying young adult books. Yeah, they don't. They really don't. They make up things, and it's crazy. Yeah, we're losing the teen readers to the manga section. You know what? Because manga is there. The thing about manga is shonen is for teenagers. Shonen, and what's the other one? Seinen?
That's for adults.
No, what's the other one? Shoujo and shonen. Yeah. So manga is very clearly divided between shonen, which is for teenage boys, and shoujo, which is for teenage girls. And it sticks to that. It sticks to catering to that audience. If other people like it, cool, great. But they keep the main thing. And considering also how I feel like so many people are not teaching kids how to read a book, how to find out if they would like a book, how to pick out a book or whatever, they're just being forced books and gifted books that are boring to them. They're like, I don't like it. But then you hand them manga, you hand them anime, and it's just like, oh, this I like, this I enjoy. And a lot of these books are also like super wordy, and like, let's be real here. Some of these books, not all of them, but some of these books, they are not hitting on a prose level. They are not doing what they need to be doing. They're too heavy on the, I have a message and I'm going to force feed it to you whether you like it or not. And the plot is, it's not thickening the way that it should. It is not thickening. It needs a little bit more cornstarch. It needs a little bit more flour. It wasn't ready to come out of the oven. And I think forcing that on kids and being like, you should like this, and they don't, it's just like, I don't know. Why are we again giving this same person another book deal? Like, that's interesting. And in a different genre, I think that's also another thing, because it's just like, this is an unpopular opinion, right? I'm not gonna say it's unpopular, but it's a thought. I feel like there are authors like Beverly Jenkins, right? She's the GOAT. She's been doing this a long time. You know what she writes? Romance. You know what you think of when you think of Beverly Jenkins? Romance. Different genres of romance, sure, but romance nonetheless. And I feel like in 2024, in the 2020s, a lot of authors are genre hopping so bad that kids don't even have a chance to find an author that they like and rock with them and be like, oh, I'm going to get this author's next book. Because it's just like, if I picked you up to read a cute fluffy romance, I'm not going to then turn around and read your horror and then turn around and read a psychological thriller and then turn around and read a fantasy trilogy. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's this era of you can't actually be a fan of a singular author. You have to be a fan of a book. And I don't know. I kind of hate that for this generation as well, because for better or for worse, it's just like, you knew which authors were like, oh no, I really like this author. If she puts out a book, then I can go get it. And my mom or my dad or whoever's getting me books or the library, well, I'll probably like it. It's just interesting. I think genre hopping has also been a detriment to young adults. Let's see here. Barnes and Noble shelves aren't that deep that they struggle to find new books. Facts. Low key, they just want to make Sarah J. Maas 2.0 for all these sci-fi, fantasy, and romantasy. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Let's see here. Sure, my main character is 16, but she does project slightly younger, which is great for those teens. Yeah, that's solid YA. I feel like if there wasn't so much mismarketing, it would be easier for people to find the books they are looking for. Facts. Actual facts. I think most publishing only knows how to push Sarah J. Maas style romantasy stories to YA sci-fi fantasy fans. I would even argue with you that most trad publishing doesn't actually know how to push any book. They just know what worked for other authors who were already popular, and that led into them doing things with the way that they do. Because most of the most successful authors that people talk about had platforms before they were published, or they were already indie and had a fan base. I very rarely see big authors who are like, I've never written a book before. I've never been on the internet before, but here I am with my big publishing deal and all this marketing support. I don't know. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's not as frequent. But yeah, let's see here. 90s kid here wishing we could go back to when TV shows promoted getting off the screen and reading books while simultaneously being decent TV as well. You know, I feel like that's a real conversation, because I think it's interesting that so many people want to bring back things. It reminds me of like a different world, right? It's getting a reboot, right? But I'm also thinking about what it did well. And I'm excited for it because I really love A Different World, but I'm also like, I don't know. I feel like that's going to be interesting. I feel like it's going to be difficult because the things that made it well are things that they don't include in TV anymore. Because the thing is, no one in A Different World was dumb. They weren't stupid just to be stupid. They weren't goofy just to be goofy. Like, first season, sure, Dwayne was a little goofy, but he matured over the story, over the seasons. And I feel like what so many shows are missing are the maturity aspect, because I just remember trying to watch Gronish, and I just really hope that whatever they do with the Different World reboot, they don't do what Gronish did. Like, I know that they're going to be at HBCU, so inherently it's going to be very different on a lot of levels. But the thing that made me drop Gronish was when Homegirl started popping Adderall in like the first week of class. And I'm like, girl, you just got a syllabus. How are you already this stressed out? That is weird to me, right? And so I just hope that they actually lean into writing full and complete characters versus just leaning into like a bunch of tropey things, right? I would also be interested to see if they lean into basically what Dwayne and Whitley were on the original series, you know, where it's just like their romance was up and down, and it kind of traversed several seasons. It wasn't like a quick thing and it was messy. And yes, it's a TV romance, so it's toxic as all get out. But at the same time, it was something that you could watch and you could like root for as a watcher. And so I'm like, but there were levels to it because there were also so many things in a different world that they tackled, but that they did well. Like one of the episodes that I always remember that I was like, oh, okay, all right. And like as a kid was when, what's her name? Not Freddie. Kim. When Kimberly Reese, when she thought that she was pregnant and Freddie was like, oh, it's going to be great. She's going to be a mother. And, and Whitley was like, are you crazy? Are you smoking crack? Like, she's in college. She has a whole future ahead of her. This is not a good thing. And she just really like brought it down to earth and was like, nah. And I just kind of love that Whitley was never about that mess. And it's so crazy because she was also the one who was like the most sheltered, but she was also like, nah, y'all, we are here for a reason. We are here to be educated and y'all are out here playing with your life. Get yourself together, collect thine self. And I don't know. I hope that there's some energy like that and it's not too over the top, but I'm not going to rant. I hope they do it right. I hope they do it right. Cause yeah, I loved A Different World and I hope it's just well written. I hope it's well written. I hope it's well written by someone who attended an HBCU. I will also add that. So, because that's also what made A Different World good in the first place. The showrunner, the second season, they actually got someone who had attended an HBCU to run things. Look at that. We are not going to talk about White Smoke. Let's see here. The majority of horror authors in the adult space are getting deals and agents, have already had a platform and established base from their short fiction. Yeah. A lot of people in the fantasy space are like that too. Especially the really big ones. Gronish was so bad from episode 1. Yeah, I wasn't really feeling it. Is it a reboot or more of a sequel? I think it's more of a sequel. It's supposed to follow Dwayne and Whitley's youngest daughter as she attends Hillman. So I think it's more of a sequel, not a reboot. Because a reboot is basically them doing the same story over again. Which honestly, I think following the exact same template almost to the letter, but just modernizing it would not be a bad idea. But I also think that some things don't need to be rebooted. Like I don't think A Different World needs a reboot. I think you could just watch A Different World. I think the only way they could do it is as a sequel, you know, like the next generation at the school with a completely different cast. But yeah. Let's see here. Gronish just wrote off the stereotypes of college being about parties, drugs, and sex. I can't argue with it because I had definitely dropped it after like 2 episodes. And I wanted to like it. I did because I like the cast. Because they had homegirl from Secret Life of the American Teenager. I think she was her roommate. And then they also had Chloe and Hallie. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah. Let's see here. I think the weak female main character is part of an agenda. They want to keep conservative values while convincing viewers that it's their choice. Ooh, ma'am, you are bringing up a conversation. You are bringing up a conversation that we are not going to get into because it is now 11 o'clock, which means we are getting ready to move over to the after chat, which is the chat after the chat. So if you would like to join, $5 gets you in. It supports the Melanin Library, it supports Black authors. It does all the great things so that I can keep making videos and doing things like this in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. So if you'd like to support, you can head over to patreon.com/writteninmelanin to sign up. Another reminder to go ahead and pre-order Magic in the Melanin. It is coming out February 18th. It is Black all the way to the spine. I never actually read the summary for the book, you guys. Why'd y'all let me get away with that? Oh my God, I had it pulled up and everything. Okay, before we go. The summary for the book reads: in this anthology, everybody is Black. Filled with epic battles, complicated families, soft kisses, and sharpened blades, Magic in the Melanin is an adult fantasy anthology that showcases Black authors who write magical stories of all kinds. Featuring full-page artwork to accompany your adventure through the pages, this anthology is what fantasy looks like when Blackness is centered and the imaginations and creativity of Black creators are unhindered. Dive into these stories and discover countless worlds where magic is truly in the melanin. The proceeds from the anthology will go to supporting the Melanin Library, an online database of books written by Black authors. Share and support to ensure the library remains a free resource for everyone. And keep in mind that if you do purchase this book from the Melanin Library, it will not be delivered until February 18th. There will be pre-orders up on other websites as we get closer to the release date. But like I said, all the pre-order funds are split among the contributing authors. So we are trying to raise as much money for them as possible for helping us support the Melanin Library. So that being said, go ahead, sign up for the after chat, get into it. And if you haven't already, please tap the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications so you don't miss when I go live and do this again. And reading a last couple of the comments. Ben dropped the link several times, so y'all can go ahead and get it. There is a paperback and a hardback copy of the book that you can pre-order. Both of them come with the ebook if you pre-order it, so get into it. Let's see here. Janine said a lot of 80s to 90s sitcoms have gotten sequel series over the past decade. Fuller House, Girl Meets World, Night Court. Fuller House was okay, but it didn't work because Kimmy lived next door, and I don't know why she had to move in with them. That was weird. Girl Meets World was actually just not good. I wanted it to be good. It wasn't. The thing that made Boy Meets World special was that Corey, while it was very much a sitcom, he was also just like a regular kid. But I feel like they tried to make Riley so like hyper innocent and hyper, I'm just a regular girl. It didn't land. And the whole weird thing about her and her best friend liking the same boy and then like halfway fighting over him, that was also like crazy weird. Did not like it at all. In the adult sci-fi fantasy space, there's a noticeable difference in writing quality between the people who've been writing short fiction for years versus who were YA authors who sold their book as adult. Some things cannot be faked. Let me just say that. Some things cannot be faked. Let's see here. Ben said that the industry is chasing money instead of the level of talent that made it. Facts. And Celeste said, love it. Also, shout out to the authors who are making this possible, the editing team. Like I said, shout out to Tatiana O.B., Law Purvis, and Celeste Hart, who are working tirelessly to bring this anthology together. Much appreciation to them because this has definitely been a labor of love. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for coming to the Melanin Chat. And yeah, tap the like button, subscribe, check out the links down in the description box below. If you want to hire me, please do that. That'd be great. You can also subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Melanin Library, buy the book, all the things to the links are down in the description box below. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for being here. And until next time, I hope your days are lovely and your books are interesting. Bye.